Hi, welcome to another tutorial video. In today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to make a corset, a bustier, a padded bustier with yoke and the pleat at the waist side. You're welcome back to the cutting section. So to start with, we'll be starting with our measurement, our vertical measurement. This is going to serve as the shoulder. Then you move down to the bust point. Our bust point is 11. Then move down to the under bust length. Under bust length is 14, while our half length, because the gown is going to be half, we are going to use the half length as fitted. The lower part, the skirt part, is going to be the pleat. So half length is 16, but we'll make it 17 for sewing allowance to join the upper part and the lower part. Now let me draw out the vertical lines. So you call this bust point, this under bust, and this is half length. Now we go on to the shoulder. We want to get the chest line. The chest line, the armhole line is, our bust is 40. 40 divided by, for you to get your armhole, I use this for my armhole calculations and it worked perfectly for me every time. What I do is that I will divide my bust into 4. My bust here is 40 divided by 4. That will give me 10. Then I'll minus 1.5. So my armhole is going to be 8.5. So I'm going to use 8.5 as my armhole. So I draw the line for my armhole. 0.5. Good. Now I will now start with our measurement. Our shoulder is 15. Half of 15 is 7.5. I'll add half inch for joining the sleeve to the shoulder. That'll make it 8 inches. So these were 8 inches. Then I'll use 3 as my neck width. I'll come down on this line by 1 inch. Then I'll form a slope. I'll make a slant line. It's called shoulder slope. Our shoulder is not straight. So this is my shoulder slope. Then I'll draw a straight line. Actually, it's from here I will take my 8.5 now. You know, I said my armhole is 8.5. So for me, I'll take my 8.5. Then I'll draw a line down. Then this way too. So I form the armhole. Now we said that this gown is going to be a bustier. It's going to be a padded blouse. I'm going to take the point to point, bust point to bust point measurement, which is 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to take 4 all through from up down. On my bust point, I'll take the 4 inches. Under bust, I'll take the 4 inches. Then down to my waistline, I'll take the 4 inches. Then I'll connect these lines together. Okay, I've connected this line together. Now I'll come down to my under bust. I'm going to go in by 1 inch, then come out by 1 inch. I'll do the same thing on my waistline too. Go in by 1 inch, come out by 1 inch. Then I'll come up where I want my yoke. I want my yoke to just be 7 inches, because I don't want it to come down too much. I want it to be 7 inches. So I'll rule out the 7 inches I want my yoke to be. At those points, if you want straight out neck, you can just cuff it out, but mine is going to be straight. So this is going to serve as my yoke. Then another thing, if you are cutting up front, because our bust, there's bust at the front, we have to make sure that we come to the middle of that armhole line, which is No, I have 8.5, so half of 8.5 will give me 4.25. So 4.25 is here. Then I'll come in by half inch here to form the armhole curve. So like this, I'll join from those points here. I'll join the line, then make a curve here. Don't forget that this is our armhole line. I'll try and make a good nice curve here. So I made a curve here. Now armhole is ready. On this point now, then we'll go back to our bustier. This is where our yoke is. We come up here. You come up here. From here, you go in by half inch. Then you come out by 1 inch on this line. Don't forget that these are bust points. Then I'll make a cuff line to join these lines together. Here, see, from the yoke point to the come down. Then I'll form a cuff here too. To form my, can make it curve this way. Okay. So I'll form my bust. Then I'll draw a straight line to the waistline here. Also a straight line to the waistline. Then I'll come back here and draw a curve. I'll form a curve to join the armhole. Make sure that the curve is looking like a bust. Yes. Then I'll join this point to this point too. Okay. From this point to this point, now I have my bust area formed. Then this is going to serve as my yoke. You remember that the neck is going to be a flat collar neck. I'm going to put a round flat collar neck at the neck. So I'm not going to use 3 inches width. I'm going to use 2.5 width. Then I'm going to come down by 3 inches. 3 inches, and I'll use my curve roller to make a curve here, joining the 2 points together, as you can see. Now the neckline has been drawn. We have our yoke. This is going to serve as our yoke. Then these are bustier. This is the center front, this is the center side. Now we are going to apply all our measurements. Know that our bust is 40 divided by 2 we give divided by 10 will give us, 40 divided by 4, we divide all our measurements by 4. 40 divided by 4 will give us 10. So this is 10. Then we are going to use 1 inch to join this half inch to join this together. That gives us 1 inch. Add it to this part. Then 2 inches for sewing allowance here. Then I'll come to my waist measurement too. The waist is 36. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. This measurement I'm cutting out here, I'm going to add it back. I'm cutting out 2 here. I'll take the measurement. You see that it's 2. I'll add the 2 back here. And I'll add the 2 back here. Then I will now add 1 inch for joining the 2 together. 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then I'll go up. I'll join these lines together from up here. What do I have here? I'm having 13, so I'll take the 13 here also. So I'll connect the lines together now. Now I've connected the lines together. But for this armhole here, you know that we are going to cut out, we are going to measure this part that we are cutting out. We had it here before cutting, then we'll form a new armhole. What do we have here? We have 1.5 here. So we had 1.5 back to this curve here. Here's the 1.5. Then the sewing allowance to join them together. Yeah. So roll it. Then you form your curve. You form another armhole. Yeah. The new armhole should be formed. Yeah, good. So this is going to be the real armhole now. We are not using this again. Now I'll cut it out for you to see how it looks like. So these are new armhole. Okay. Good. Let me cut out the yoke for us to see. Now this is our yoke. Okay. This is our center front. This is our front side, you can see. So these are the two things we'll be needing for the cutting. So we move on to the back, the cutting of the back side. Okay, welcome back to the back cutting session. Now to cut the back, we'll first roll out 1.5 as the zipper allowance, all true. 1.5 for the zipper allowance. Okay, after that we go to the neck. We use 7.5. Our shoulder is 15. We use 7.5 plus half inch for joining together, making 8 inches. So from here I'll come down by 1 inch. When I come down by 1 inch, then I'll make a slope. The shoulder neck should be 3. So from that 1 inch to the shoulder neck, I will make a slant. After making the slants, from here I'll come down by 8.5. 8.5 is going to be our armhole line. Remember how we got that? You say bust divided by 10. That's bust is 40 divided by 4. Sorry, bust divided by 4, that gave us 10. Then 10 minus 1.5, we got 8.5. So that's going to serve as our armhole. So use whatever bust measurement you are using for yours, divide by 4, then minus 1.5, you get your armhole. Then at this point I'll form my armhole curve. I'll make my armhole. I'll curve my armhole. So I'm done with the armhole. Now I can apply my vertical measurements. So bust point 10, waist is 16. We are using 16. Then I'll roll out the line. So on my bust line, I'm going to measure my bust, which is 10. 10 plus 2 sewing allowance, making 12 inches. So I'm having 12 here. Then on my waist, I'm going to take my waist measurement. Our waist is 36 divided by 9. Sorry, our waist is 36. 36 divided by 4 will give us 9. So this is 9. I'm going to add 1 inch for that allowance, then 2 inch for sewing. So I have 12 of the same. So I'll connect the lines together. Now for my darts, I'm going to get my darts. You know, I said we use 4 as our dart line, as our bust to bust line. So you take half in and half out here. Then you come from here you come down by 7. So from this 7 you can start taking your dart line. So these are darts. Then remember our neck, we use 2.5 for the neck width at the front, so we are going to use the same neck width at the back, but the neck depth is going to be 1 inch. So we form the cuff now. Yeah, this one is just going to be a straight line here. Now these are back bodies. I'll cut it out. Then yes, lest I forget, this lace at the waist area, you have to go in by 1/2 inch, because our waist at the back we have an in depth, so we have to give the allowance. If not, the zip will be bulky, so I have to come in by 1/2 inch, then connect it this way on the zip allowance. So I'll cut it out that way. Like this, our back measurement is ready. So we are going to add, the half length is 16, we are using 17 because of the sewing allowance. So I'll cut this out now. After cutting this out, I'll cut it on our fabric and I'll cut the lining, then come and show you. I've cut out everything. I've cut out the center front with the fabric and the lining. I've cut this also, and this also I've cut it out with the fabric and lining. Then I've also cut the yoke with the lace, and the yoke is the only one I added 1/2 inch allowance to the joining allowance, because there was no allowance for that during my cutting. Others I added the allowance while making the measurement. The next thing to do now is to cut out our sleeve. We are going to use the lace for the sleeve also. The round sleeve of the owner is what we are going to consider in cutting the sleeve. The sleeve is a puff, is a straight and puff sleeve. So what do we do? First, cut the straight sleeve. The straight sleeve is going to be length 11, but I'll be cutting 12 because we'll be using 1/2 inch to join the sleeve to the shoulder, and we also use 1/2 inch to join the Ankara fabric to the lace. So I'll be using 12 for that, and always consider to use the stretchy part of your fabric for the width. Now I've folded into 2, then I'm folding again, making 4. I have to confirm if this is enough for my round sleeve. The round sleeve is 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5. I'm having 9 here, so this will do for my round sleeve. Then the next thing I do now is to shape out the sleeve. I said we are using 11, but I'm going to cut out 12 because that's where because I will use 1/2 inch to join the gathers to the hem. Then I'll use 1/2 inch also to join the sleeve to the shoulder. Sorry, let me move towards the camera very well so that you can see. Now, okay, so these are 12 inches. I'll just make a curve this way. I'm done with my sleeve, then I can cut out now. And yeah, because it's going to be a puff sleeve, it's going to be a straight sleeve, so I'll have to shape here also. Yeah, I should have 8. then I'll just minus 1 and slant it up to this point. Good. Our sleeve is ready. Now to cut the lower part of the sleeve, which is the puff side, I'm going to use my Ankara fabric. Let me first notch here so that when I've notched it. Now when I'm sewing, to serve as a guide. Now I'm going to use the Ankara fabric to sew the lower part of the sleeve. And how do I go about that? This Ankara fabric, the whole length here, the length is 45, and that is what I'm going to be using for my sleeve length. The longer the fabric is, the puffier, if there's any English like that, the more puff the sleeve will be. So I'm just going to cut out this puff. Now I want it to be 10 inches. I've folded it into 2. I want it to be 10 inches. I'm going to add 2 more inches to it. That means I'm going to cut out 12 inches because I'm going to sew an elastic casing at the bottom. Then I'm going to use half to join it to the lace fabric also. So I'm cutting out 12. For me to cut out 12, I folded into 2 first, then I'll fold again. This knife is making it into 4. So let me confirm what I have here. Do I have up to 12? Yes, this is 12. So I can cut out 12. Don't forget we are making for 2 sleeves, so I'm going to cut this into 2. Now this is going to be for the first sleeve, while this is going to be for the second sleeve. Like I said I'm going to use elastic, so I'm going to form an elastic casing here. I'll first fold, then I'll fold this way, then I will still use half to attach to the upper sleeve. So this part will not be the cuff. I'm going to gather the upper part, and the elastic is going to gather the lower part for me. So now I'm going to attach este to the padded this to the front, so we'll be padding. Then I'll come and show you how it looks like and what next to do. We move on to the sewing tutorial. Thank you. I've attached the wording to the fabric now. So I'm going to sew them together. I will sew the lining together too. So I'm going to sew this way. I'll bring the wording this way down. I'll sew it from here up round like this. Then I'll also attach this to the other side. So I'll do the same thing for the lining. Then I'll come back and show you. Okay, I've done attaching the bust together. This is what we have. Then the back too, I've attached the lining to the back. But while attaching the line to the back, I did not turn this the neckline because there's going to be a collar there. So I folded the parts where our dart will pass through. So remember that we use half inch in, half inch out. So what you're going to just do here is to measure 7 from the top. Measure 7 from here, 7 inches from here. Hope it's clear. 7 inches from here, from the head here. Then I'll come down here. This is 1 inch for our dart allowance. Then I will draw a line for the dart. Okay, I'll do the same thing for the second side. Then I'll sew the dart and come back to show us the next step. Then for this front part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the yoke and the lining together. Remember, these are yoke, so I'll let the right side face the right side this way. Oh, my camera is covering this part. Let me move it closer. Okay, so like this. this is the yoke. So I'm going to sew the yoke like this. I'm going to attach the yoke to the upper part. Then I'll cover it up with the lining. Use the other side of the lining to facing like this. So I'm going to sew here, sew down, then sew down, and also sew this way. Then I'll give it a good press, and I'll come back to show the next step. Okay, now I'm done sewing the darts and I've ironed it out. You can see how it is laying so smooth. Then the upper parts, the front parts too, I've done attaching the, you see, I've attached the yoke to the side, and I've closed up the side. I've attached the lining. This is the inner part looking neat, and here is the outer part. So the next thing to do is to attach the front to the back. I'm going to place my fabric like this. You see, so I'll place this like this. Then the lining will cover the front this way. So I'm going to face the material on it like this. This is the edge. This is going to be like this way. Then I'll flip the lining over it to cover it up this way. So this is where I'm going to sew it on the machine. So I'll just sew ½ inch all through like that. I'll do the same thing for this other side too. Okay, so I'll go to the machine and come and show you. But let's quickly, let me explain what I'm going to do to the sleeve. Let's prepare the sleeve also. The sleeve, I'm going to gather the upper parts. After gathering the upper parts, I will sew the gathered parts to the sleeve here, to the hem of the sleeve here. I will sew the gathered parts after gathering it like this. These are sleeves. These are sleeve. Then I'm going to gather these parts like this. I'll gather it like this. Yeah. So after gathering it, the lower part, like I said earlier, that I'm going to sew an elastic casing here. I'm going to bend this way. I'll sew it throughout. Is the elastic casing here, the elastic that will gather the lower part. But for this upper part, we have to gather it ourselves and attach it. So I'm going to do that now. I'll prepare the sleeve, then attach the shoulder together, then come and show you how to attach it to it. Okay, now I'm done attaching the shoulder, the sleeve to the shoulder here. I'll give it some. I'm going to interlock this edge like I interlock this part. So I'm going to sew the side together using the our customer's measurement. Remember that just close this side. Then when you get here, around sleeve is 15. So I'm going to measure 7.5 here. From here, this is 7.5. So I'll measure like this. Then our bust is 40. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure from here to this part. What do I have? I have 22. So 40 divided by 2 is 20. Then I'll just take 1 inch here and another 1 inch on the other side here too. So move it towards the camera. You can see. Okay, you can see. So I'm going to, our waist is 36 divided by 2. That will give us 18. So what do I have here? I'm having 22 minus 18. That's 4. So I'm going to take 2 inches here and 2 inches on this side too. Now I'm going to start sewing from the sleeve here. From here, I'll knot it there, then go this way and sew this way, sew down like this. I'll do the same thing for the other side. When I'm done sewing, I'll come back and show us the next step to take. Okay, we're almost done with the upper part. So the next thing to do now is the collar. I have to close up this back so that I can get the right measurement. Now for me to get the collar, I'm going to measure around the neck for me to be able to get the collar. So I start from here like this, then I go round. Please don't stretch this part at all, so that you can get the right or the accurate measurement for this. So what I have in total is 18.25. So 18.25, we are going to cut. Now this fabric has already been folded into 4. This is 1, this is 2. I first folded it into these 2, then I'll fold it into 4 and make sure that what I'm folding is up to 4. Good, I'm having up to 5 here, so that's a good one. Now the back measurement alone, you measure the back measurement again. From here to here we have 4, so you're going to measure here 4, then you use your fresh curve like this and measure around the 4. So on this fresh curve, that's where you're going to take your, we have 18.25, half of 18.25, that's 9.1. So you can just say 9. So you're going to take 9, measurement of 9 on this. Now this is 9, then half for joining the side, then you start taking 1.5 round that curve. Sorry, my chalk is not very visible. 1.5 round, then on the curve line take 1.5 round. That's what you're going to use for you. That's what we're using for our neck and yeah. So we cut this out, then I'll sew. Now I've cut it out, I'll go ahead and sew this side. I'm going to sew this inner part around like this, then iron it and come back. So this is supposed to be curved, not looking like this. It's supposed to have a U shape. So let's get into the sewing parts. Now I'm done attaching sewing the collar and turning it to the other side. So this is what we have. I'm going to get the center of this collar. Yeah, this is the center. I'm going to give it a small notch. Then I'll get the center of the dress also. And I'll give it a notch. Okay. Then I'll bring the collar this way and I'll sew from here this way like this round till I get to the end of the Ankara fabric this way. Then I'll do the same thing for the other side too. After that, we'll come for the next step. Okay, now I'm done attaching the collar to the neck part. You can see it here now, so you can see how I'll stick it to mannequin for you to see. The next step now is to attach the lower part. The lower part is going to be pleats, depending on how much fabric you have available for you. For me now, you know, our gown length is 60 and we have 16 as a half length, so all we have up here is 16. So we say 60 minus 16, that will give us 56. So 56, sorry, that will give us 46. So we need 46 for the lower part, which is what I have here. Then I'm going to attach it. What is left from the fabric is just 2 yards, and the waist is 36. I have 72 here, so I'll be pleating it. While sewing, I'll just face the Ankara on this part like this. I'll place the Ankara on the fabric this way. I will start sewing from here. So when I get to the dart, I'll give it a boss pleat, a key split, excuse me, a key split this way. Then I'll go this way and continue sewing. When I get to the waist part 2, I'll give it the same key split here. It comes this way, making sure that they are equal. I'm using just 2 inches, depending on the fabric you have left. You can use more than, and you can create more pleats if you have enough fabric. But what I have in this case now is not much, because she said she needed some fabric for a scarf. So and I'm using 4 yards to sew everything here. So I continue pleating. When I get to the front dart the front dart too, I'm going to make that same key split using my 2 inch here, 2 inch for the front, 2 inch for the back this way, till I'll finish my fabric, till I finish. Then after attaching it like that way to it, then I'll come to the back. No, fabric Ankara is facing Ankara here. Then I'll come to the lining side. Yeah, I've also mentioned my lining according to the width, the breadth of this Ankara fabric. What I have is what I'm using. So this fabric's lining side, now you don't really need to give it a key split. You can just give it a knife pleat. Just continue to fold like this till you exhaust your lining. Then you sew that way. Let me do that now on the machine and show you the. Now I'm done attaching the lining. The lining is on the lining part of the upper part. Look at this, the upper part. The lining is facing you. Then the fabric is facing the down parts of the fabric part. Now I'm done pleating the dress. You see, the next thing to do now is to look at the key splits here. So I see them. So I will close the back side and attach the zipper. After attaching the zipper, I will hem the down part. Then I'll display on the mannequin for you to see the final result of